for Best Faculty Multi-Campus Program Coordination goes to Dr. Manjari Srivastava. The award for Best Faculty Research Output goes to Dr. Krunal K. Punjani. The award for Best Faculty Teaching Excellence goes to Dr. Ritu Srivastava. Congratulations to all the awardees. Thank you.
Heartiest congratulations to all of you, the award winner students, the award winner faculty members, and all the students who got the degrees today. Our guest of honor today is Sri Shankar Chakrawarti, Managing Director and CEO, Equity Ratings and Research Limited, Mumbai. Sri Shankar Chakrawarti has over 29 years of experience in developing and selling data, analytics, risk management, credit ratings, and financial research solutions. Prior to Equity, he worked with CRISIL, an S&P group company, for 14 years and played a key role in CRISIL's growth. He also worked at Standard & Poor's Tokyo office to help in outreach in Asia Pacific region. Before CRISIL, he worked for Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE, and Capital Market Magazine. May I now request our guest of honor, Sri Shankar Chakrawarti, to address our students. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I first of all would like to thank NMIMS for inviting me at this event. It's extremely charged environment today. I would like to also thank my fellow dignitaries on the dais. It's a very smooth event so far, what I have seen. Must be one of the most important days in your life. I'm going to give the most boring talk so that Ashish can sort of leave an impression on all of you. And I don't want to stand between you and the lunch. So few things that I can tell you from my own experience. I come from a small town, and I did my MBA in those days when you actually ratify your textbook and regurgitate on the exam papers. Those were the different days, and the pedagogy has changed a lot nowadays. So every time I meet young, fresh graduates, it's a refreshing experience because they come from a different kind of a system. Now, let me first tell you what are the things that you should be careful about in your new journey. You have probably spent the best 2 years of your life, but that is past. And going forward, what is there, you don't know. And you have to take charge of this in your own hand to make it even better. So if you think that somebody else is going to come and do it for you, that's not going to happen. You are not going to have teachers who will care about you the way they do now. If you are lucky, you will get a good mentor. But, without exception, all of you will get a boss. And that's not a pleasant thought, right? First of all, you have to take charge of your mental health. The worry that I have in the corporate rat race is that it's very easy to forget the basics about keeping your mind at the right place. So the first thing, I said, I promised you that I'll be giving the most boring speech. So the first thing that I would like to tell you that you should be careful about is sleep. 7 to 8 hours sleep is absolutely non-compromisable. Corporate world will throw a lot of challenges. It's a rat race at the end of the day. You will be paranoid about your competitors, your colleagues, other companies that do business with you. The only way to deal with these thoughts, anxiety and various other kinds of thoughts, is to sleep well. That will be my biggest advice to all of you. I have been invited. I assume that I have the right to give you a little bit of an advice. So the first thing is that please ensure that you sleep well. No matter what we do, you will be doing a M&A deal and you will be required to stay in office till 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes these are necessary. I have also done it. But 7 hours of sleep has to happen every day without exception. The second thing is that, you will obviously put your body through a lot of struggle. You'll be traveling, your food will not be of the best kind. I think you will have to take good care of, you should not, there are fairly easy ways to avoid, unless you are predisposed genetically. There are fairly easy ways to avoid blood sugar, blood pressure and cholesterol. So keep an eye on these three things and ensure that your physical activities compensate for the damage that otherwise is done because of the corporate life. Now, I have, somebody introduced me with my experience, 29 years. I have not really, 5 years of work experience is as much as 29 years of work experience. But when you look at other people's failure, my own failures, this 29 years actually is a fairly long time to understand what we do to ourselves which gets us into trouble. So please do not undermine your own mental health and physical health, and please always take care of this for yourself, for your colleagues, peers and others. Now, what are the skills that you will require? What NMIMS would not have taught you or no college would have taught you here. You have to teach those skills to yourself, So one of the most important skill that I think is important is getting along with other people. I was reading a book about Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. And Charlie and Warren met 60 years before Charlie died. Imagine a relationship that goes on that long, 60 years, and they're diagonally opposite characters. They don't have anything common, hardly anything common about apart from the passion about investments. This, you may think that they have the ability to forecast, they have the ability to do valuations, they have the ability to do many other things. But I think what you will notice, a common thread amongst the successful people in the world, is their ability to build and nurture a relationship through many cycles. So therefore, the third thing that I would like to advise you is that you must have made some good relationships, good friendships here. Please nurture them. Stay, you will be spread all over the world, but please keep in touch and try to do things together and make new friends also in the way. But remember that ability to build relationships and retain them for a very long time is today a very important skill which nobody teaches you anywhere. The fourth thing is another skill that is needed in today's day and age is grit. Okay, so, in somebody's speech I heard this comment about the ever-changing world. 10 years back we used to make strategies for 5-year strategies for the company. Not 10 years, maybe 20 years back. We would believe that you can actually predict 5 years later what is going to happen. Today, the CEOs that I meet, I think hardly anybody would, with great confidence, will be able to predict, or they will believe that they have the ability to predict beyond 2 quarters or beyond 3 quarters, because things are always changing, always. So how do you handle this? How do you manage this uncertainty? Managing this uncertainty will require grit. This is one of the skill that we try to check during the interviews. So this is the fourth message that I would like to leave. And please remember, things are going to be difficult, and if you want to give up, you can very easily give up. But at those junctures, you have to look at inspiring tales of grit. I would like to tell you a story of a grit. The speech need not always be boring. So there's this person who was the captain of a explorer ship called SS Aurora. Okay, he was an Australian, and his dream was to map Antarctica. Right. So he took this ship, landed there when it was summer, and he started mapping the entire continent. You can imagine what kind of weather or what kind of conditions exist there. He was having a bunch of dogs and sledges and 2 other human beings who were his mates. They faced some blizzards, and the sledges and the people, they all fell in a crevice. The dogs died. Some of the dogs died. One of the mate, he lost his leg, and somehow this person survived. And many months have passed. At the nick of time, or rather little after the nick of time, he reached the port where his ship was waiting for him, but it was already 1 year. So one winter had passed, and he had to, the ship waited for him, but the ship left because ship cannot wait over the winter at that same place. So it had gone back to Australia, and he missed that ship by 1 day. The ship left 1 day before he reached that place, and he spent the entire winter there. And then next summer the ship came back and rescued him. But the greatest part is not his survival. The greatest part is that every day he kept records and he mapped the continent. He didn't all these anxiety whether I will die, my dogs have died, and he survived by eating the dead dog's livers, which gave him hypervitaminosis, which is a very vitamin A in excess. So this is what he did. He went through, but he did not forget the mission. The mission was to create the map. So this is what is great. You don't have to go to Antarctica. But in your own place, you will feel similar difficulties. You will feel that the world is so tough. But you will have to remember that world is not really going to be so tough if you can keep your eyes on your mission. So I think I had 10 minutes of time. I would not like to extend this further. Wish you all the best, and do get in touch if I can be of any help. I am available on LinkedIn. I try to reply to messages to all students. So if I can be of any help or any guidance, I'll be more than happy. Wish you all the best and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those invaluable words. I'm sure they will help our students in their careers ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you our chief guest, Sri Ashish Mutra, Managing Director and Group Chief Executive Officer, Northern Arc Capital Limited, Mumbai. Sri Ashish Mutra is a business leader with 25 years of progressively senior experience across retail and commercial banking and insurance. He has held senior CXO and managing director positions and successfully built and managed large profit centers businesses across various product lines and geographies in complex and hyper-competitive markets through credit and economic crisis, and delivered exemplary business results, strategic build out of new businesses and revenue streams. He has led large teams of diverse employees and built profitable growth franchises. Sir, we would now like to invite you to please share your insights and perspectives with our students. Shri Ashish Mutra.
Thank you very much. I don't remember doing a lot of those things what you said, but I'll take it with grace. At the very outset, good afternoon everyone. Thank you NMIMS for inviting me. I'm sure I should be able to try and to add some insightful tidbits from my career and journey which could be useful. But before we begin, there couldn't be better year, I was telling professors sitting next to me, than to pass out in 2024. Correct. Couldn't be better time if you are part of India growth story for you to be there. But before we begin, thank you all for inviting me here. Members on dais, professors, family members, I'm sure you've got your parents on the other side watching us, and more importantly, the exceptional graduating class of 2024. Congratulations, and I clearly echo what my one of the members from the dais said. I have not seen such seamless execution. I think, we spoke about strategy, we spoke about culture and some of those pieces, but I haven't seen seamless 169 people. We've done actually before time, just to be clear. And I used to struggle with some of these stuff, so you guys have executed it flawlessly. It's no different than the general election which India is executing, the 17th general election. So let's just come and talk about today. Today you stand at the brink of a new chapter in your life. It's essential to reflect on the journey. More importantly, what got you here. And more importantly, look at the attribute which will be useful as you embark into the new future with resilience and compassion. To me, at the very outset, let me congratulate you once again for all who are graduating today. Needless to say, this is a moment of great joy and satisfaction. This marks completion of just one phase of your life. This is just one phase of your life. And another one, an exciting one, begins. I know somebody spoke about 7 hours of sleep. I can tell you, to be very honest, I just remembered last night when I told my wife that Professor Nitin has invited me, and he said, have you got your speech ready? I said, no. It was 11:30 at night. I went to the office at 7 a.m. I typed the speech, and I said, let me come here and deliver it to you. So I'm not too sure you're going to get it, but if you can, please try and have. Nothing more important to have a great sleep. But many of you will be moving out from your sheltered, protected environment of college, correct, into the new world with challenges, world with ups and downs. And I'm sure the training, the value systems, and the knowledge which you have acquired in this institute will hold you good for you to face those challenges and to come out as a winner. May you grow up to provide effective leadership in the next generation and in this century. And to my mind, the future of yours and India is intertwined to the future of our country. As you embark in your professional journey, the key areas I would urge you to focus on are a few of them. One is to have a growth mindset, and that's very important. I'll talk about it a little. Navigating both professional and personal journey. Somebody spoke about it. I know how critical it is. Overcoming challenges in a rapidly changing environment. This means continuous learning mindset. That becomes pretty important. If I don't learn today, I don't stay relevant. And if I look back in my career in 22 years with Citigroup, both in India and around where I've worked, every 3 years I got to do a new job for which I had no skill set. This means I had to acquire, learn, and to progress. And more importantly, upholding leadership values, and I'm sure NAIM principles will hold you in a great stead, and practicing empathy towards others. It is about common, in everything in life, whether in organization or you're in a startup world, it's about common goals. How do you achieve those common goals? I think when you look at it, if you say 2024 is a great year to pass out, probably if you look at it from an India perspective, we're going through a major socio-economic change, a period of strong political stability, correct? The world is looking into India for the growth, for the resilience which India has demonstrated, correct? We've now become the 5th largest economy, going to become a 5 trillion economy by 2027, and the journey from there on continues for us. And you look at it, and a lot of us can learn from our history. It took us about 67 years to get to the first trillion. And it took us 8 years to get to the next trillion, 5 years to the next trillion. And now look at the compounding effect we have. We're pretty confident next 3 years we'll get to 5 trillion economy. And the advantage and the power we have is essentially come both from a socio-economic fabric, the demographic dividend, which we all, and while we can stand here and speak about it, but if I go and sit in your chair, I'll find it very difficult. It's going to be a very, very competitive world. With average median age of 29, not for today, going up to 2070, it's going to be a different world you will be grappling with. But I think the advantage of the GDP comes because we are predominantly consumption-led, more than China. Right? About 60% of our GDP is consumption-led. And that ensures that the continuous growth, and that's why the world is looking at us. You look at FDI on the other side. Over the last, from the independence till date, I think we would have received about $960 billion of FDI. And that's about 75 years plus. We've got more than half of it, about 540 odd billion in last 90 months. And it came in from 160 countries. It came in across 61 states and union territories. Over 90% of that came in through a straight route without any approval. That shows the power. The world is looking at us. There couldn't be better time when the economic capital is very easily flowing into India for us to deliver on the promise which we set out to the world. We spoke about general election. There can't be better strategic planning and execution than general election. You have 98 crore voters in this country, correct? We will set up 10.5 lakh polling booths. We'll have 1.5 lakh polling officers who will come out to do that job. That's the power of execution. That's the power of democracy. We looked at it. For many years ago, we used to say India technology not as advanced. In 2010-11, I used to run the retail bank for Citi India. Now I can't talk about it. It ceased to exist anymore. But just to make my point, I left them in 2015 after spending 2 decades plus with Citi. And we used to talk about digital. We used to talk about the new banking is going to be digital, and we were pretty way ahead of it, I think, in those days. But if you look at the world today, you will be surprised that the 41% of the world's real-time transactions happen in India, not anywhere else in the world. And you know why? Because the way we've systematically built the digital stack of India, what's known as India's Trishul, what's known as India's Jam, Trinity, whatever name you want to call it, that's essentially Jan Dhan account. And I used to run the retail bank when we had to report every day night to Ministry of Financing how many accounts got open, and we had some 45 branches. How could we could contribute? But that's how it's been executed. They've opened about 50 crore accounts. That much population has come into with the formal credits ecosystem, with formal banking, access to formal banking, access to direct transfer of benefits, and so on and so forth. The power of that you are seeing not only in what we are seeing in terms of digital transaction, digital commerce, emergence of fintechs, everything else. The entire startup ecosystem, actually large part of it relies on the digital stack created, what we've created in this country. And that means we've become the third largest capital of startup ecosystem. So I'm not too sure how many of you will go and work in a corporate, but I don't think it's a bad time to start and reimagine world. I think there are three things from a management philosophy perspective, which says, can you reimagine? You grow, reimagine. That's exactly what you need to think, saying, how can you solve a problem? And I think there is no one else better than you guys to look at the world, saying, what are the challenges we have, and solve it. We operate in that ecosystem in Northern Arc, and we're seeing a bunch of the startups which is coming up, whom we support and mushroom, and they're doing some remarkable work. You look at other pieces, energy. We're the third largest consumer of energy, but we're also the fourth largest producer of renewable energy in the world. 19% of energy is renewable in nature. So I think if you look at all of these tailwinds and you put it from any perspective, and I spoke about energy because I heard about sustainability oath, which is pretty admirable because we look at it from UN SDGC guidelines saying how many principles are we living with. We do about 6 or 7 of them. So we know the power of what's being doing. We're just raising money for a climate fund. We predominantly would have impacted about 80 million lives in India. That's about 6 or 7% of India's population, about 15% of India's underbanked population. But that's true power of the franchise. So if you look at it, all of this, what you need to be prepared to win for the next 30, 40 years and stay relevant as a leader. I think the 4 or 5 key thoughts in my mind. One is a growth mindset. To me, it's not a concept, it's a way of life. It's about viewing challenges as opportunities for growth. It's about continuous learning, and it's about ruminating feedback. Till now, in college, we could get away without paying heed to the feedback. But in the real world, your success depends on how do you ruminate, how do you positively take the feedback and move forward. I think in a long career span, since we're talking about careers, I think it's not the IQ, it's not the EQ. To my mind, the most undervalued virtue is TQ, which is what I call it as a tenacity quotient. That's essentially, when you look at any leaders, you look at Narendra Modi ji, correct? Look at the tenacity quotient demonstrated by him. So it's not the best and the brightest, it's not the most talented. That can only open doors. But what will allow you to sail through and to grow year after year is the TQ which you demonstrate in your career. It's your tenacity to deal with adversity and still bounce back and still stay positive at work and still do not shy away from taking new initiatives. I started my career from B school in a very, very hyper-competitive global bank called Citi. And I could tell you, in first 10 years, there would be time, I can't use the word, we would cut if my batchmate got promoted and I did not get promoted. Correct? We were not driven by how much increment of bonus we're making, but we were driven by 2 things. We were driven by ratings and we were driven by alphabets, which is your grades. But if I look back in 20 years, I would have been at least 2 batches ahead, both when I became the director and the MD. And I think that's just the tenacity I demonstrated and never shied away from taking stuff which is beyond my comfort zone. So in 20 years, I ran, 4 or 5 businesses. I was the youngest business manager to set up commercial banking outside of US and India. And I think every of that opportunity I learned. And that prepared me to go and do something which I hadn't done before. And that's exactly, and my commitment to India ensured that I never wanted to move out. So I did short-term stints offshore, but I never wanted to relocate as a family because I believed India is a great story. The other thing which is very important, and we spoke about it earlier, is balancing your professional aspiration and personal life. Finding time for family, for your parents, for your kids, as your family expand, for your friends, that's your core strength for next 30, 40, 50 years of your life. And that work balance is, to my mind, is paramount. And that's like finding harmony between a professional and personal life, and that, to my mind, will lead to a more meaningful life than just chasing one end of the stick. So you will burn, but you will need to find a balance between what's your professional aspiration is and your personal life, and staying true to your family, your parents, your spouse, your partner, your kids. That becomes very important. When you stand here, I said I haven't devoted as much time, but I ensure when I get home, I shut everything and I'm like fully at home. But I think the third most important thing is the learning mindset. Life is like a treadmill. If I do not learn, I will become irrelevant. And that's true. That's true whether you are a CEO, whether you're a CXO, whether you're a management associate, and all of you will start as management associates. And I think one of my best learning happened as a management associate in Citi, where in 6 months I kind of moved around different businesses, functioned in different cities, and so on and so forth. But that really got so much of knowledge that when we went around doing into different roles and different geographies and different products, that's when you learn. And in today's environment, where technology is becoming so fast, the AI is completely redefining it. I'm surprised my son who's doing undergrads in HKU tells me most of the interviews are now AI-led. So you give a speech and you do an interview, and AI is going to evaluate you and tell you whether you're qualifying or not qualifying. So a lot of the jobs in the real world becomes very different. We process about 16 million, 15, 16 million. We do about, in today's world, I underwrite about 4 loans per second. That's the power of one of the platforms we run in our business. And all of it is essentially MI and AL driven. We are able to underwrite millions of transactions flowing to us to take the credit decision just by looking at data. And that data will becoming more and more powerful, not only because of what we spoke about, India Stack, India Jam, India Trishul, but also with ONDC, with account aggregators, with GST, all of it, that is becoming very, very powerful. So for me, the biggest learning is how do I look at the data, which helps me to reimagine where could I take the organization forward. And I can tell you honestly, we plan for 5 years. And it's a rolling plan because that's a directional plan you work towards. And then you make a detailed plan for a year, which you get it approved from the board. But every time you go back, and this is the time we go back to a board, we say, listen, this is what we promised 3 years ago. This is where we stand. And I think there are going to be some deviations, but broadly, by and large, we've been able to execute what we promised to you. And that's how the directional changes and prioritization comes into play. The fourth most important thing to my mind is leadership. And I think the leadership is not about titles and positions. It's about ability to influence. It's about ability to inspire. And more importantly, it is about integrity. Nothing more important than integrity in a corporate career or anywhere else in life. Look at Mahatma Gandhi, who led it both with compassion and humility. And you look at the new age example of Indira Nooyi. I just loved some of you. I met somebody who's going to Lakme and a couple of other places. This has led with determination and grace. That's exactly what principles we need to inspire and take them and embed them in our life. The future leaders is all about upholding honesty, and I'm sure Professor spoke about it. It's about transparency. I need to walk the talk every day. Every minute, you will be watched. Whether you are a management associate or you are a CEO, everybody is watched, and everybody in a company is watching you. And in today's days, when you run 360-degree of evaluation, performance management and all, everybody has point of view, correct? So it's about how do you look at, with honesty, transparency, empathy in your interaction, and inspiring those around you becomes the more important pieces as you go about fulfilling your own career objective. To my mind, empathy is very important. It tends to be undervalued as a virtue, but the cornerstone of relationship and the societal progress is around empathy. And a great leader are the ones who are empathetic and has an ability to take the team along. And I remember I said common. The biggest challenge as a CEO I face is how do I get my 2,000 employees to believe in a common goal. The goals are pretty large and could be very different depending on what business product functions you run. But essentially, you need to go towards common. And your strategy needs to be articulated in a way that everybody can comprehend. And I call it, we call our strategy as A, B, C, D. A, we want to be a leading platform. We want to continue to broad-base the franchise, essentially granularize the risk we carry on a balance sheet. C, which is what I want to talk to you about, is about culture. There's nothing more important than culture you build, whether as a leader, as a regional sales head, as a product head, as a management associates. You know, culture can have strategy for breakfast, and execution can have the best written strategy for breakfast. And I said, and we live on that on a first principle basis. And we say, D, we are eventually a data and a digital company. We happens to be in financial services business. And that's exactly the way we look at it. And I think that's core to it. To my mind, as I wrap this up, I think the few things I want to leave you with. As you step out in the world, armed with knowledge, skills, heart full of aspiration, remember the success is not about personal achievement. It's about cumulative, and it's about making a positive impact in the people you interact with. The positions will go. They're not permanent. Correct? So it's about the positive impact and the legacy you leave behind. Embrace the challenge with a growth mindset. Navigate complexities with grace. Lead with integrity and empathy. And strive to create a better tomorrow for yourself and those around you. And nothing more important. I would want to say three things. How many of you are getting into financial services? If you could raise your hands. So there's a sizable people in financial services, and including non-financial services. I think the three principles or the three learnings I had from my career in financial services is essentially one is around career, and it's like exactly what I said before, is don't be hero for a day. Never take an action which makes you a star for today. Career is built over a long period of time. Like I said, it's not the excellence, it's not the academic results, it's the attitude which differentiates over a long period of time. You can take many examples. You can take Tendulkar, Kamli, any examples anywhere else. You are playing for long. It's a test match. Do not do anything which makes you star for tonight, but not too sure if you are able to hold that stardom. And I've seen a lot of my batchmates, peers who joined with me in the urge to shine, taking shortcuts where organization had to at some point in time come and say, sorry. The second, we'll all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I make tons of them. Correct? And these days it's good to fail early, and so on and so forth. It's always great to affront your mistake. When you affront your mistake, whether to your prof or to your boss, then it becomes boss's responsibility to help you solve it. If he's not able to solve it, then it becomes his boss's responsibility. At some point in time, it becomes an organizational responsibility to solve that problem. But you don't do it and you shove it under the carpet, someday somebody will come and tell you you are a mistake. So I think it's great to be honest, transparent, but at the same time, please upfront. Third, we talk about collaboration, we talk about large teams. Trust but verify. Your signature, your email, your stuff which you send, whether on a WhatsApp is of immense value. Correct? So please verify what you're putting it together. I thought these three is very, very important. And fourth is, I think, the new management principle, and it's called exploit and explore. I think we should continue to optimize what you have learned from here, but at the same time, as you bring that into play, continue to explore new knowledge, new opportunities, new things, which will make you prepared better to face tomorrow. So once again, congratulations to the class of 2024. The world awaits your brilliance, your compassion, your unwavering spirit for transformation. Go forth, make the college, and make your parents and make everyone proud. Godspeed.
Thank you, sir, for those invaluable words. I'm sure that each one of us is going back motivated, informed, and encouraged. So your words will resonate in the minds of our students for a long time. I now request Dr. Nitin Balwani, Associate Dean, School of Business Management, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Dignitaries on the dais, faculty, staff, parents, and my dear students. It's a great privilege and pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks, and I would like to extend my thanks to everyone for coming and for making this convocation significant and memorable, including those attending virtually. This occasion is special because 169 graduates have had their MBA degrees conferred on them. On behalf of my school, I give a heartfelt vote of thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Ashish Mutra, and guest of honor, Mr. Shankar Chakrawarti, who spent their busiest time gracing the occasion. Today, we had the opportunity to benefit from your wisdom and insights, which you distilled in a very short speeches that you have taken today, and which will certainly encourage and help us perform better in our future endeavors. Thank you, sir, for your insightful speeches. Thanks to Dr. Bharatham Sangvi, Trustee SVKM, and mentor NAVI Mumbai campus for gracing the occasion and conferring the degrees to the successful graduates. Your presence makes us proud. Sincere thanks to Dr. Sharad Maheskar, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, for gracing us with its presence today and sharing his valuable thoughts in his welcome address. Thanks to Dr. Shubhashish Bhattacharya, Director, sir, NAVI Mumbai campus, for sharing the achievements of the NAVI Mumbai campus that we all have achieved in such a short period of time. Thanks to Mr. Ashish Apte, Controller of Examinations, for his unwavering support to the institution. It is often said that the gratitude is the attitude that takes you to your altitude. Therefore, I take this opportunity to congratulate you all on your achievements. We also extend our gratitude to those who have supported us in practical ways behind the scenes, from the mentors, faculty, staff, and our students' ever-supportive families. Over the years, we have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of highly qualified, dedicated, and motivated faculty members. With their wealth of knowledge and experience, they have given our students deep-rooted foundations in various fields of study. They have nurtured talents of which perhaps the students didn't even know that they possessed. They have stimulated the students to think more critically and at the same time to act more compassionately. For this, we owe them a huge debt of gratitude. This type of event cannot happen overnight. The wheels started moving about 3 months ago. It requires planning and an eye for detail. We have been fortunate to be supported by a team of very active and dedicated employees of our organization who are very well versed in their responsibilities. I thank them for their contribution and their utmost willingness to take on more responsibilities well beyond their comfort zones. Our sincere gratitude goes to all parents and well-wishers for your rock-solid support system and encouragement to our students. Without your support, these budding professionals would not have been able to excel. Thank you very much for joining the event. Finally, I would like to thank my budding rock stars. The hard work and your effort were evident in your impressive performance. Congratulations once again, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request the nominee of the registrar, Shri Ashish Apte, to kindly take over the proceedings.
I request Shri Bharatbhai Sanghvi, nominee of Honorable Chancellor of SVKM's NMIMS, to declare Convocation 2024 closed.
I declare the Convocation 2024 closed.
Thank you, sir. Respected guests, faculties and students, please note that a formal photo session will be conducted once the academic procession recedes. All are requested to assemble at the first floor steps for the same. The academic procession will be guided directly to the photo session area. May I request you now to please rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
Please remain standing till the academic procession leaves the auditorium. Dear students, experience is the only school from which no one graduates. I wish you all enriching experience in the school of life and congratulate each one of you and your parents. It's your special day today. So, now is the time to create some memories. I would request the student representatives to kindly guide the students for the formal photo shoot, and after that the lunch arrangements for the students and your parents has been made in the canteen area and the ground floor. All the best to you all.